So I have with me Andy Jaeger. Andy's one of the founders of Club Soda, but is also well, why don't you explain who you are?
Oh golly, who am I? Who am I? That's actually a genuinely profound question.
Okay, we could be here sometime, everybody.
So I do a lot of work in healthcare policy and strategy, and I got involved in Club Soda because I am interested in finding things that work. And I think from the conversations that we'd had about all sorts of things which might not help people as much if they're thinking about changing their drinking, actually wanting to make something which really does work for people seemed an important thing to do, and something which I'm very interested in. I'm also a coach and a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, and so I'm really interested in what helps people change. And helping people be clear about what they want out of life and then working out how to get it. So that's me.
So there's a few themes that have been coming up this week, and we'll come on to some of them. And one is about the fact that some people haven't lost weight and some people are feeling worse. Mm-hmm. So we'll come on to that a little bit later. But the other thing is this week is the boredom week.
Yep.
Where everyone's going, oh, it's a bit boring without alcohol now, and I'm feeling a bit blah.
Yeah.
Surely life was better before. And I thought it'd be worth having a discussion about how people begin to reframe that in their heads.
Yeah.
And think a little bit more about what they might do instead, and what opportunities begin to open up for them.
Yeah. Well, I think, and this is a little controversial, I think it's important to be honest about the fact that before, in mid-December, when you were in the height of the party season, and you were probably drinking a little bit too much, in lots of ways things were better. That actually we drink because it makes us feel good, and there are things about drinking that we like, the sociability of it, and the feeling of relaxedness that it gives us in our body, and the glow and the feeling of well-being, our ease and confidence in talking to each other. All of those are really
and that's
good things.
Deep social interaction. Yeah. That even though, because alcohol might oil the wheels, but it also creates an excuse to be in a big social space.
Absolutely.
And we always need excuses to be in social spaces. And the pub is that.
And actually, so if part of feeling a bit blah mid-month might be that actually, if you think back over your diary over the last week, you may actually not have gone out.
Yeah.
You may not have been going out seeing friends. There's something that's
not the alcohol. It's the actual impact of not seeing mates.
Absolutely. There's something which is really easy socially about saying to somebody, do you want to go for a drink? That's a really straightforward thing. More difficultly, saying to somebody, do you want to go for a chat? Feels a little bit more awkward, though. We need to find ways of...
what have I done wrong?
Exactly.
Can I have a quiet word with you?
Yeah, exactly. No, don't do that. It's terrifying. So some of it might be about feeling socially isolated.
Yeah.
But the important thing is thinking back to that mid-December point, thinking about where you are now. All of those good feelings that you had in mid-December, that feeling of being relaxed, that feeling of being confident, of being sociable, of all of those things are they're good things that you can think about how to replicate in other ways. So
how do you go about doing that?
So how do you go about doing that? I think so. One of the things you might do is genuinely think back to other times in your life when you have felt some of the good emotions that you want to feel. So being happy, being relaxed, being stress-free, being whatever those things are. And actually, just in your mind, take yourself back to that point.
Stress-free.
Imagine a time when you were stress-free. You might want to find an easier emotion.
All right, maybe happy.
Okay, but if you think back to a time when you were really, truly happy, and be completely back in that moment, imagine it not just kind of mentally, but how it felt in your body to be completely happy. And let that feeling grow and expand until it completely fills you. And then it's a little NLP trick. Is when you're kind of feeling at the height of that emotion, is just squeeze your thumb in your hand And what you'll end up doing is you'll end up making a connection in your brain between all of that good positive emotion you feel and the physical sensation of squeezing your thumb in your hand. And then stop doing that.
Yeah.
And then actually, if you're at a point where you're feeling stressed, you're feeling down, actually just squeeze your thumb again. And it encourages your brain to bring all of those emotional feelings back to you.
Do you have to practice that to be able to activate your thumb?
Yeah, to be able to activate your thumb. It does take some practice.
Okay.
But it's a really easy way of getting back to those kind of good emotions. The other thing...
What is it called? Sorry, just what is it called if people want to Google it?
That's called... So in NLP, we call that anchoring.
Anchoring, because I mean there's a word for it.
Yeah, there's a word for it. But it's a really straightforward and easy thing to do. The other thing to do is to think about... So let's stay with happiness. If you're thinking about those mid-December moments, you were out for a drink with your friends and you felt genuinely happy. That's not the only time in your life that have been happy. There have been other circumstances in your life which haven't involved drinking where you felt happy. And actually, you can really easily replicate those circumstances. If it was, I don't know...
Playing with your kids out in the morning and chatting with people.
Exactly. Or you spent 5 minutes standing outside your back door in the sunshine.
Yeah.
Or you treated yourself to a really lovely cream cake. We'll come on to talking about food. Or there might be a billion and one things that you did which made you happy. Do those things. Invest the time in doing those things. We can very often, I think, feel trapped in the cycle of feeling miserable and not doing anything about it.
But doesn't, do they, because of course you don't plan opening a bottle of wine at 6 o'clock at home, you just do it. And anything else feels like it takes planning.
Yep.
And just going for a drink also doesn't sound very planned, although it is a lot more planned these days. I even have people plan phone calls now. You used to just pick up the phone.
I do not know how anyone did anything before we had mobile phones.
Yeah. So, but going for a drink doesn't seem planned.
Yeah.
But suddenly the idea that all those other things seems like they might be quite hard work.
Yeah. But are they? Things like, how much hard work is it when you get in at 6 o'clock in the evening, instead of opening a bottle of wine, to go straight upstairs and run yourself a warm bath and leap into it? Actually, for me, I love long baths. It's one of the most pleasurable experiences that I have. And it's a really easy thing to do. You don't have to do it at bedtime. Do it when you get in from work. Spend the evening lounging around.
Or go and have a nap.
Or go and have a nap. Lots of really positive, easy, simple things which don't involve. Cause I think as well, if you're thinking about, if you're in a mindset of, if I'm going to be happy, that involves going out. Then you're right. All of those replacement activities. So going for a massage, or I don't know, arranging to go to a gallery.
They're still on your own.
They can take time, and they can take money, and they can take planning in advance. And as you say, can be on your own. Really simple things don't have to be.
And sometimes they're about other people. So I've found that if I'm working at home all day on my own, that I feel quite low. But I know if I have at least one good conversation with a person, that changes my mood entirely. Yep. So I don't have to have left home. I just have to connect with other people. And I think since changing my drinking, I've learned more about it's the people that energise me in social situations. It wasn't the drink. Yeah. And therefore I need to create social situations that may have more than one person at them or whatever. Yeah. But that's what I need. That's the thing that energises me.
And be good to yourself about that. Don't hang out. At this point in the month, do not hang out with people who are hard work. Yeah. Anyway, it's been lovely. but seriously, if you know that there are people where the conversation doesn't flow easily, just avoid them for a little while. Go and hang out with the people who genuinely make you laugh.
And the people that energise you. I find if I go and see a live performance of any kind, it's music or something, that really energises me. Yeah. Even if it's not pretty shit, actually. It's just the being in a space, in a room with other people. Yeah. We were talking at the workshop on Saturday about actually it was a boot camp on Monday. But one woman was saying she loves dancing, but she feels a lot more self-conscious now. Yeah. That she's stopped drinking. Yeah.
Did you talk about Morning Gloryville?
Well, we talked about Morning Gloryville and Five Rhythms and all those other places you can go to dance where it doesn't really matter. Yeah. So there are alternatives out there. Yeah. You're not the first person in the world who's had this feeling of, shit, what now?
Yeah. Yeah. And equally remember that you can go out into all of the same social spaces that you went into before.
I go to the pub just as much.
And you can enjoy spending time in them. you can enjoy amusing yourself watching other people getting drunk. That is a particularly joyous
or watching
experience.
people enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching people enjoy
Yeah.
themselves. I sit and look around concerts at other people's faces.
Yeah.
I like finding the people who are annoyed by the people behind them. Sometimes that's me. But anyway,
Yeah.
so all of that stuff. So I guess it's about getting down to the root of what you enjoy. One of our members, Lior, sat down this time last year and wrote 365 things that made her happy.
Oh, fab.
Because the time it took her to write it down was useful.
Mm-hmm.
Then she realised she did most of them all already, so that
Yep.
made her happy. And then she bound them up in a book and she pulls it off the shelf whenever she's feeling a bit low,
Brilliant.
so that she can pull on them. Because I guess the other thing is we don't know what they are that sometimes if we haven't written them down.
Yep.
And when we need to pull on them, we need to do that quickly.
Yep.
And so you sort of need them there in your
Another
back
kind
pocket.
of another kind of version of that, if people, it's not kind of never too late in the year to start these things, but a really nice idea I saw was the idea of keeping in a jar and every day writing on a piece of paper one thing that made you happy in that day and just putting it in the jar.
I know
And
another one
actu-
of our members who does that. So.
And actually, by the end of the year, you've built yourself a fantastic little resource of reminders of things that make you happy. So when you get to the end, you just...
I'm sure there's an app for that though as well.
I'm sure
there has to be.
I'm
a
sure
jar,
there is.
paper, pen.
I know. Shocking. I know.
Terrible.
But yes, remember the joy of stationery. That's my other top tip this month.
Excellent.